Some main reflections, I would say the offensive line really did a good job blocking. Also, the receivers did a great job of blocking downfield and sustaining their blocks, which allowed me to get to the second level.
Speaking of defensive line, word is that you sometimes go into their film room and their meetings and just kind of understand the schemes and what they're doing. Can you kind of expand on that? Like, what's the reasoning behind that?
Just so we're on the same page, I think that's very important for running backs and offensive linemen to be on the same page. And so today, even we went inside their room and just learned how they're going to block it. So we'll be able to see some things out just by the way that Colorado lines up, and we'll be able to diagnose it quickly and hit the spot where it's supposed to be.
What's the reaction been like from those people just in the last couple of days?
From people back home, they sort of been through that and know that what I'm capable of. But the people here, they kind of hyping my head up, boosting me a little bit. But I stay focused. I got some people, Manny, Nikhil, always telling me to remain focused, and so just on to the next week. The most important day is the next day.
Your balance is really good. It's been a little bit like your right tackle somehow has a little balance. Do you need to work on that? Like, back to the
I think a lot of it comes from me playing soccer, I would say, back in the day. And then also, when I used to work out at home, I used to train a little bit with LaDainian Thomason. And so he kind of coached me up on the spin move.
Did he really?
Yeah.
When did that start?
That was my junior or senior year, I think, of high school. I had my trainer. My trainer used to work with, I think, his nephew it was. And so he'd always used to come out, LaDainian Thomason always used to come out and give me some little tips.
That's no better person to get tips from, I guess.
Yeah, for that spin move for sure.
So just to make sure your man teaching, he was here and your mother was here. Was there anybody else from your family?
My aunt, two of my aunts were here, also from Texas, and then I have my first cousin actually lives out here with her husband and kids, and so they were here at the game too.
How did people celebrate?
Didn't celebrate really, I guess you'd say. I just spent time with them. We went out to eat, and that was about it.
Did you know that you were on the precipice of such a phenomenal game, like a history-making game here at this university?
I did not, and it wasn't even to that last series that I think Frank Darby came up to me and was telling me that I was only 16 yards shy of 300 yards, and so actually I think Isaiah Floyd was like, "Yo, I think you've broken a record." And I was like, "You know what? Like, quit playing because like you know how many great backs have come through here. There's no way that this is going to be a record." And so he kept bugging me about it, saying that, "Yo, I think this is a record." And I just almost had to tell him to shut up on the sideline because I didn't think it was at all. So yeah.
What about accomplishing feats so early in your career?
There's more left to do. I would say. I really don't think I'm not a guy who thinks about or thinks too much about breaking records and stuff like that or getting accomplishments. I remember back in high school, I'd get nominated for these awards and whatnot, and I'd never tell my family members. And so when they did find out, they'd be upset because I didn't tell them, but I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. And so that's kind of how I view things like that.
Sometimes said that you and Nick Lawson are sort of in pros of the room in terms of that attention to detail and study habits. Where did that come from?
I think just in everything I do, I think I'm a pretty organized person, and I like to have a game plan with everything I do. Like when I go down to the weight room, or even during like the off season, I'd always come in early and ask like, like what is our run today? I just like being prepared in the little ways possible. Just I think that helps me mentally and as well as get prepared physically.
You have been like that?
I've always been like that, yes sir.
How do you feel when, in the wake of your game, Coach Edwards reiterates how he wants this to be a running football team, a running football program?
Well, that was one thing when he was hired I was happy about just because I've known his history with coaching, and I did a little bit of research myself on his running backs, and so they carried the ball a ton, and so I was quite happy when I found out Herm Edwards was going to be our head coach.
What does that say about the mentality of the team when you're able to have a ground game like what you have?
that we're a tough physical team is what that says. And so like I said, the offensive line, they do a great job. And I think it was that Washington week, you could tell there was a difference just because in practice there was a lot of pads, literally, like you could hear the pads popping. And so I was going around like, Simon, I think this is going to be good because like that sound of pad popping is just amazing. Really, I would say just the stuff that I've been through in my life. I think I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot, and just everything that I've been through in my life has made me who I am. And so I think my parents do a great job of keeping me down. They always tell me, stay down, stay humble, so God can bring you up. And so that's one thing I always think about. And my mom and my dad always remind me of that every time I'm on the phone with them.
Do you know enough about Chris Martin to appreciate that comparison to Coach Edwards?
I've known a little bit about him, but Coach Mawai, he was like, you know what, this was a couple months ago, honestly, he was telling me to go watch and study his film, and so I've been watching him. He plays bigger than he is, and so Coach Mawai told me he's not very big, but then I look at the film, but then back then the shoulder pads were huge, and so he looks a lot bigger than what he actually is.
We look at the Colorado defense. I mean, they're pretty stingy when they gave up 16 points or less 3 of the 4 games. What do you see them on film as a reminder of any defense you think previously?
I think they're special in their own way, and so I think our coaches have put in a very good game plan as far as running the ball, and I think we've got the guys to get the job done. My phone has honestly been going crazy to the point where it spazzed out. So I just got my phone back up and going last night. So I'm not sure if he hit me up. Kalen Balaj hit me up again, and so I've been talking to him a little bit. Told me he was proud and stuff like that. Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Do I keep in touch with him? Not so much, but through my trainer, I do. Yeah, yes, sir.
Picture out there you would carry to. Do you remember that occasion or what happened there?
I do. My high school team played his grandson's high school team, and so I can't remember, John, I think is his name, John Stephen Jones. His younger brother played on I think it was the freshman game, and so after we get done with our varsity meeting, team meeting, later that night, we go out, finish the game by watching the freshmen. And so I remember I saw him. I'm a huge Cowboy fan, and just went up with him and, hey, can I take a picture with you and stuff like that. And so I thought that was a pretty neat deal.
Obviously, your freshman year didn't go as planned, and it really started with that Army All-Star game where he got injured. Was this really kind of rewarding after all that journey, all the tribulations to have a game like this?
Yeah, for sure. Just stay in the road. Being patient. Like I said, Coach Simon and we had a blueprint, is what we call it. And so there's going to be adversity. When adversity strikes, how are you going to react to it? And so I think that was honestly, that was one of those things that you said, humility. And so I think that was one of those things that you got to really humble yourself and understand that things are going to get tough, and you have to go through trials and tribulations to see if you come out on top, and that's really what you're made of.
Kind of wish that 4-game redshirt rule was going to be applied last season?
No, not really, because then there'd be no running backs with any type of experience on the field, exactly. And so it happened. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm glad what happened last year happened. I'm just being able to get that feel of it and play.